Welcome to In the House Media House Calls. I'm your host, Michelle Francis, also known as Shelly Live. We have joining us tonight Javon Johnson from the hit series The Oval. Also, he's actor, writer, director, acting coach, producer. And without further delay, we welcome you to this evening to this lovely platform. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm doing great. Thank you. It's good to be in the house.
Yeah, in the house, honey. You got to be in the house. This is the media right here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
We're going to dive in because of time. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about some things you got going on. You have your hands in just about everything. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do this backwards. I want to start with you, focus on your things first, and then we're going to go into the oval, if that's okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to start off with first the acting coach. I was reading that you do acting classes,
Yeah.
and I wanted to touch a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I have independent acting classes that I do at Javon Johnson Studios in Atlanta, and have a school called Barefruit Conservatory that I was established a few years ago in partnership with Wofford College out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. So I'm teaching both in South Carolina and both in Atlanta every week.
So how does someone sign up to be a part of your acting class?
My business partner, producing partner, Jessie Delay, she handles all enrollment for the Atlanta class. And you can reach me on my social media to get information about that at I am Javon Johnson. And there's a website for the school in Warford in South Carolina, which is barefruitsc.org. And Bear is BEAR. So you can go to that website and get all the information about it. Well, if you're in the South Carolina area, I would recommend that. If you're in the Georgia area, of course, just reach out to me, just DM me, and I can give you information on how to register for that class.
Okay,
I
so
also teach
when
writers too, writers as well. So yeah,
you broke up, say that again for me, please.
I said I also teach writers as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to touch about your class a little bit more. In your class, is it a class, a group of people, or are you doing individual training with people?
These are a class. It's a group. It's a group of
It's
classes.
a
Yeah.
group.
I used to do. I do a little bit less of one-on-one training just because of the scheduling and time it takes to do a lot of one-on-ones. Can get a little it can get a little demanding sometimes. So right now, because of the schedule, I tend to focus on the class environment.
Okay, okay. So what can someone expect from your acting class? What did they walk away with?
Listen, let me tell you right. Let me just get real with y'all for a minute. I'm just telling you, if you're watching this, you're listening, do not, if you just in this because you just want to be on TV, you just want to be famous, if it's a superficial reason why you want to do this, you don't need the training that I'm offering you. This training is for people that really want to dig into the craft, really want personal growth, really want to work at a longevity of having a career of longevity and having a career of substance. And and your expectations are very high in terms of where you might possibly go in this industry. So it's not for anybody who's just curious, who just like it. You have to really love it, and you have to really want to take this walk. So I'm saying it because I only want serious people to come,
To
because
the
it's going
class.
to take serious commitment to go through the process, and it's going to take patience. A lot of people who come to me, this society nowadays, it puts in our head that we can. This stuff is, you don't have to work for it. A lot of people think you don't have to work for this, um,
Right.
and in some facets of it, you don't. Like there's a lot of independent work out there. There's a lot of situations where people just put you on, and you out there, and you're a social media influence. You're an influencer, and all of a sudden you in movies, and those are no knock against anybody. There's a lot of ways to work in this industry,
Right.
but I really only deal with the serious, committed artists who's ready to invest in themselves, and committing to classes, and committed to walking the walk, and committed to personal growth. Because we can get caught up in the idea that it's just a flash of the pan. We can just wake up and just do it, and it's supposed to happen for us. And that's just not the reality of the industry.
Right. So let me ask you, how did you start your walk as an actor? Like what led you
Um,
there?
God led me there, to be honest with you. This wasn't my plan. This is something that happened. Chadwick Boseman, who of course was Black Panther and some of the other iconic roles that he played.
Right.
We're both from Anderson, South Carolina, and there wasn't much there that contributed to having a career in the industry. So me being where I am now really was just me following a course and not really knowing where it was going to end up or where I was really headed. I fell into this world of entertainment through speech and debate, which I was asked to do. It wasn't something I said, I want to be in speech and debate. No, it was something I was asked to do. I tried it out, and then I wasn't going to go to college. My high school choir director made me go to college. It wasn't something I was going to do. And I was on the choir at South Carolina State University. And I couldn't sing. So there was a theater building there. And the theater building was sitting there. I said, I'm going into the theater building. So all this kind of happened, not by my own kind of planning, but because I didn't get in the way of it, because I didn't really know what I really wanted to do. But I also didn't get in the way. And I felt like I was called in this direction. And I kind of just kind of rode the ride until it got to a point where I realized I had a calling for this. And I was like, okay, I need to really claim this. Like, this is really, I'm an artist. This is what I do. And then I really buckled down and really, honed in on it.
So how do you prepare yourself for roles? Like, what do you do? What do you go on meditation? Do you get a role and then through it and say, hey, I'm going to become this character?
Well, it all depends on what the role is. Well, every character, every situation demands something different from you, right? So you that goes back to the training, right? Because that's the training that I'm talking about, right? A lot of people who are so-called themselves actors don't have a process. They don't know how to prepare, right? And some of them don't even know what they're preparing for or how to execute it, so that's on the surface, right? So when you really study and you really train, it's kind of like if you have a car for 20 years, right? And you hear something, what's wrong with that car. You're like, okay, I knew this car for a long time. I know what's going on. Let me tap this thing right here and this heat can come on. You know what I mean? It's like that with your
right.
It's like that with your instrument. You train your instrument well enough, then when you get a certain role, what you need to do to get prepared for that particular thing that role is going to demand of you. So it's different every time out. It's no one way that I get into a character. Some characters are emotionally heavy. Some characters are lighter. Some characters are comedy world, and it's different things you have to do. So it depends on what's being asked of me.
So let's talk about the butler on the Oval, preparing for that role. How was that? How was that?
Yeah, I had worked with Tyler Perry before the Oval a few times, but nothing to that capacity, right? Of that magnitude. Right. So coming into a series regular situation on a show, you really don't know what it's like until you're in it, right? So I always say the first couple of seasons was just me holding on, just staying on. I was just staying on. I didn't want to fall off the boat. I'm like, we here. Just don't let me fall off.
But you were good though, because I watch it. I binge watch that show. So I'm like, it's convincing. It's like you're intrigued by it all the time. It's like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, no, the storylines and the plot twists and everything. You never know what to expect on Oval, which I think is what keeps it very exciting. Because even if you try to guess, you might not guess right. You know what I mean? We try.
So when did the role come to you, or did you audition? Like, how did it come to you, that particular role?
Yeah, I went the traditional route. I went to the auditions. I almost did not audition for this role because at the time I had played a lot of pastors, and people started to mistake me for a pastor. Like they would say, "Hey, what church you pastor at?" I think I don't know. I'm like, I'm not a pastor. No, you were. They were arguing with me like in the middle of Walmart somewhere. I was like, no, you pastor at the church. I know you, but it's because I played so many pastors like on television and film at the time. And I made a point to stop playing pastors because I was kind of getting locked into that. And so the idea of a butler at the White House came along.
That character.
Yeah. So I saw this casting posting came out for a casting notice came to me, and I was like, oh, it's a butler at the White House. And at that time I was thinking, is that really a stretch from a pastor? And I was like, I don't know if I want to go from stop playing a pastor to playing a butler, but I didn't know much about the character.
So being a butler.
Right. And so I really went into the audition because I had not been in the audition room with Raven Drummer, who's a well-known casting director in the Atlanta market.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the reason I went into the room. I was like, well, I haven't auditioned for Raven in quite some time. Let me just go. So I wasn't even thinking about booking the role. It was just like, let me just go chat with
and see
Raven and
what
get in the
happens.
space. And when I went there, I'm looking at 9 other actors who I'm casting as the role. I'm like, oh, they definitely, but they definitely look like the butler at the White House.
What does that look
I'm
like?
like, I'm not even thinking about myself. I'm like, that guy, these people I've watched on TV, I'm like, that
Right.
guy, I'm like, he's definitely gonna be the butler. I'm just giving the role away, you know.
I
So,
can imagine. I can, because you
yeah,
think butler, you think the typical butler, which is not the
yeah.
typical butler
I
for
was,
the
I,
Oval.
my head, I was thinking the typical butler because I didn't have any information about the character. So I go in, I audition, and it's just a normal thing for me. I got in to talk to Raven, and all this. That was a good day, and I went home back to
Mhm.
South Carolina, and then the next morning I get a phone call, and it was an Atlanta number, and I'm not a morning person, so I looked at the number and I ignored it, but then I said, oh, it might be from production because I was doing another project in Atlanta at the time, so I said
Right.
I better check because it could be from production, and I checked the message. It said Tyler Perry here trying to reach you. And I'm half awake, and I'm like, I thought somebody was playing a joke.
Is
I'm
it
like,
the
okay,
joke?
yeah, I'm like, who else is early in the morning? It's like, no, I don't know, at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning. I was like, whatever. So I laid back
Right.
down, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna play too. I said, whoever this is playing with me, I'm gonna play too. So I called him back, and
Wow.
it was Tyler Perry. And I worked with him before. He's never called my cell phone. I never gave him my number,
Right.
but it's TP. You know what I mean?
He
So
got ways to figure it out, right?
I always figured out. So I was, obviously I had to wake up because Tyler Perry was calling. And we had I think about a 15, 20-minute conversation where he basically just broke it down to me, the show and the role. And it was a lot
Mhm.
more to the guy than just being a butler at the White House. And
Yeah.
that's when I got insight into who Richard Halson is. And even then, it wasn't like I had the role. We still had to have the screen test and all the stuff. We still went through another vigorous audition process that took about 8 hours of the day at Tyler Perry Studios because he was casting both the Oval and Sisters, I think, at the same time.
This season, there's Ruthless. There's a
So
lot of them.
yeah, there was a lot of us there reading and going in and out of the room throughout the day. Yeah, I went to the traditional route. I had to earn it, so to speak.
And when you realized you had it and it was yours, was it that happy moment, or you was like, "Oh God, I got this. This
Well,
weight is off me now."
after we spent about 8 hours at TPS Studios that day, and when I say we, I'm
Mhm.
saying everybody auditioning for Sisters, everybody,
Everybody.
Oval, people from LA, everybody's in the building, right? So at the end of the day, they called a list of people out the room to go upstairs and wait. They didn't say why. They was just called the list out. So I was in the list of people that was
Right.
asked to go upstairs and wait. And we was just sitting in the room waiting. No, we had no information. We was just waiting. And then somebody came in later and said, "Hey, Tyler Perry's going to be up in a little bit, about 5 minutes." And then 5 minutes go by, Tyler's not there. So every time they come in, it's like Tyler Perry's coming.
What's coming?
We like, okay, you said that twice already. Is he coming or not? So we like sitting here, and then it seemed like we waited for like 30, 40 minutes, but it seemed like forever for us, right?
Right, because
And
you're waiting, anticipating
yeah,
it.
we're waiting, and we don't know why we're waiting. And he finally comes in and probably like took about 60 seconds to basically say, "Welcome to the Oval." And it was like everybody hit the lottery and just screamed and yelled and
At the
celebrated.
same
You
time.
know what I mean? So it was a great experience. It was a great moment for everybody.
So that's I think that's what people need to hear. I think sometimes when people hear they're auditioning, like when actors audition, that they're getting like a pass, like you're gonna have to bypass some things, but you actually went through the whole process. You had to wait
Oh,
and have to sweat and figure it out and all that good stuff.
yeah.
But the show is amazing. It's an amazing series. A lot of people watch it. Your character is very popular.
Thank you.
We watch as fans, and say, what's going to happen next? What's
Yeah,
going to happen next?
yeah,
Um, I know you played Daddy on Daddy's Little Girl, House of Pain, The Barbershop 2. Once again, these are just characters that I just pulled up on you. I was like trying to find out all I could find out before you came on In the House Media
right,
House Calls. Um,
right.
But I want to go back to I want to do a clip of, I want to stop here and just do a clip of your acting class. I know Jerome has a clip that we want to play just so people can kind of see what your acting class entails, and we're just going to run it.
All right, cool.
Where's my Jerome?
Was tech. The tech
I know he's supposed to just jump in here. But it is this delay that we have all the time.
Yeah. It's okay. We have a little technical difficulties.
But while we're waiting for him to bring up that, I know you have a. So that's how intense. They're really working with you. You're teaching this class by yourself. I said they're really working with you. You're hands-on in this, in the acting, in the training, in the coaching.
I'm hands-on in the process. I also have my mentee, Javaris Conway, who also helps me teach her as well. So yeah.
And you said it's once a week in Atlanta and then once a week in South Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll let you speak, tell people how to get there again at the end of this show. We'll have you do that. I do want to talk to you about also this weekend. You have a big premiere coming out, Once in a Valentine, where you're the executive producer on that. Can you speak to that? I know that has to be exciting.
Yeah, it's a big to do. So
I know.
Yeah, feature film, Once in a Valentine. With my producing partner, Jessie Jalay, who's been in the business quite some time, working on, a lot of her projects are out there all over the place as well. But it's our film coming together. It's our first feature film together, and we have a slate of other films. We're in pre-production for our next film already that we're going to be shooting next month in Atlanta. So we're in the business of making movies and making great movies and great storytelling. So this film actually came out of my writing class. I have a writing student who was working on a project, and I saw what the project was, and I said, well, hey, why don't we go ahead and expedite this development process with intentions of producing the script, and that's what we did. And I think we have a really good film, and everybody will see what that is this weekend.
This weekend when it comes out, you're not going to speak too much, but is it about Valentine's though? Like
it's definitely Valentine's. Not the typical one in terms of, one of the things for me, I love the holiday genre, but I don't necessarily sometimes the holiday genre can get a little commercial to me, where everything is just light and it's a simple story and nothing really happens much.
It's love, and that's what I was thinking no, because when I looked at the flyer, I said, wait a minute, this girl is running in this picture, so something's happening here that's different.
I wanted to push the genre a little bit. I didn't want it to just be another sappy Valentine. Nothing
love story that you'll sit and go, right? I know how this is going to end.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's a particular lane. You know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of step outside of that a little bit and push the envelope a little bit. So it's a little more than probably what you would normally expect when you hear about hear a Valentine's Day movie, what you probably think you're walking into.
Okay. Yeah. So when he pitched this, you said this is one of your students. What about the script made you go, I think this is going to be good? Like, what did you?
Well, I just felt like it was
kind of tricked you.
Yeah, it was a real story. It was real issues, and I think it was something that needed to be talked about and examined. And the idea of putting Valentine's Day around it, that whole idea of that being the backdrop, just made a fascinating juxtaposition with what this was dealing with. Um, and I think because this woman, this character is dealing with a lot of darkness in her life and a lot of trauma to her heart in terms of love. And we put her in the season of love, and we see
Right.
how she survives it, how she handles it. And I thought that was fascinating to explore.
Who would you say in your walk of your career that you've learned the most from? I mean, there's so many actors, amazing ones.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I try to learn from everybody, even the ones that are not so obvious, right? Because you can learn from people who are great at what they do, and you can also learn from people who are not so great at what they do.
right.
so so I try not to just go where the obvious is. I'm always looking for the lesson. I'm always looking for the growth. I'm always looking for the information and things that I can learn just by being in the room or just being by observation. But there's definitely those that have had a tremendous influence on me personally. One being Chadwick Boseman, who's a dear friend,
Right.
um, one of the greatest people I've ever known. But August Wilson, who a lot of people know that Denzel is producing a lot of his
Right.
plays, film, and Fences. I think
Love
they just
Fences.
piano lesson. And Ma Rainey's Back Bottom they did recently that Chadwick was in. So and there's I think Jeffrey Wright is one of the most underrated, most talented actors we know of my time. I think that I'm always learning when I watch Jeffrey Wright perform.
Learn different things. Do you? So how do you unwind yourself from all this stuff? Like the acting world, the production world. When it's all said and done, and you're sitting, and what is your day like when you're saying, "Okay, it's time for me to breathe"? What does that look like?
I
Or
don't know
do
if
you?
I don't know if I really have that. The only genuine time that I have that is with I'm a family man, so and I also have a 2-year-old grandbaby. So
Oh, that can keep you entertained.
she takes me away. She takes me away from all of it. Like it's just Poppy and grandbaby at the time. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Right.
so. Yeah, she kind of demands that. Hey, forget all that stuff. It's me. I'm here.
It's my time. And
We
then
gonna go on the floor. You're gonna chase me around the house. We gonna do all this other stuff.
but
know?
that, yeah, and then you have to put that in. I know you did say you did touch on that. You have other things in the making. Um, is this thing you're directing and writing on, or is this things that you're getting from your counterpart as
Yeah,
far as things
it's
that you're
all of
working?
it. It's
It's
all
just
of it. It's a combination of all that. Either producing, writing, directing, or all three at one time, or it's a toss up sometimes. But yeah, I'm multitasking a lot.
and how do you pick your characters when you're reading when you're creating your characters for your movies and you're looking for a certain type person? What do you look for? Do you say, okay, this person has what I think that I'm going to need, or this person looks like? I mean, what does that look like when
Yeah,
you're
of
you're auditioning people?
in terms of casting,
Yes, in terms of casting.
I typically look for at the end of the day, I want depth and authenticity. Like I don't
Mhm.
want um, anything that's presentational, anything that's surface. Like because to me, I can get that anywhere. Like I can find somebody
Mhm.
who can be presentational, and I can find people who can act like they're mad, but I need people who really can give me anger. Like I don't want you to just
Right.
show me what anger looks like. I want to feel it that you
That you're
experience.
mad for real.
Yeah, that you're experiencing it. And then with that comes a little bit of craft about what you're doing. Do you know the art of what you're doing? And all that stuff shows up in your audition. You can tell when somebody knows the craft of what they're doing, and when they can give authenticity and really share yourself in the moment, right? Give me something, give me who you are through this character
Yourself.
moment. When you see actors audition and it looks like they're trying to book the job, those are typically the ones I don't cast because they look like they're trying to get a job. You know what I mean? Or they either look like I'm trying to give you what I think you want, and it's like, there's no way to really know what I want. You know what I mean? So I want you to give me your truth and your honesty and your interpretation of this character and make that a full experience for me and a genuine experience. And those are the ones I really like to work.
So when you're, and once again, I'm going to go back to the directing part of it. When you're how much wiggle room do you give someone on your set in a role that they booked for you? Like, are you to the book, to the words, or are you, I want to see this, I want to see you become this person, but I still want it to look real. I want it to be real and feel real in the movement of what we're trying to capture here. How much room do you give them?
Well, I'm a writer too, so I'm always pulling at both sides because sometimes the director doesn't think exactly the way the writer thinks. So
Right.
if as the writer, I'm saying the written word is everything. But as a director, I'm saying let's explore and have moments. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
always in the middle of that. But really, for me, that comes down to the actor. It comes down to how much do I trust this actor? You know what I mean? And trusting the
Mhm.
actor means does this actor understand this full story and are they supporting the vision, right? Because just because you can improv doesn't mean your improv is good for what we're doing, right? It doesn't
Right.
mean that what you have to bring to it is actually elevating the script, right? So you kind of have to earn that. You kind of have to earn the right to do certain things as an
To
actor.
change.
Yeah, because doesn't always mean a good thing. You know what I mean? But if I can trust you, and trusting you means I know you know this character, I know you know this world, I know you know all the intentions, I know you know the story arc, I know you know everything about what needs to happen. Then more than likely, what you bring to it is probably going to be something I appreciate as a director. And I'm like, okay, that was nice, that was good, And we get a couple of takes. One take may be, hey, let's do this take the way it's written. Then I'm gonna give you this other take because you're bringing something to it, and we work like that.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, good. That's good to know. One other question, and I'm going to try to bring this to a close at this point. Where do where do you post your castings for if someone wants to look into your, to see what you're auditioning for one of your roles,
Yeah,
if they can fit? You go to Actors Access, casting, there's also all
yeah.
these different platforms that
Uh,
people use.
I currently have as postings on Actors Access for my next project that we're in pre-production for right now that we're currently casting, called The Stuttering Preacher. So you can check Actors Access for that. But I typically post everything on my social media, and I am Javon Johnson on Instagram and Javon Johnson on Facebook. Between Instagram and Facebook, typically is where I post it, keep everything posted about the classes and about projects that I'm working on as well.
Well,
You can
you
also
all,
go to my website too. My website is also iamjavonjohnson.com. So there's a lot of information that we keep on there as well.
so y'all heard it here, Javon Johnson. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you coming on In the House Media. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure interviewing you.
thank you.
Um, I'm looking forward to your movie to hit the theater so I can check it
Yes.
out to see what this is about. You already have me hooked on the Oval. That's bad enough. That my nights are like sitting in the bedroom going, okay, what is he gonna do? What are they gonna do today? It's crazy.
I'm sitting there doing the same thing because we shoot so fast that sometimes you forget.
You don't have time to watch it.
Yeah, what I'm talking about. Even though I watch it, I don't remember because we did it so fast. I'm like, well, dang, I didn't even remember shooting that. What happened? And I'm like, oh, I forgot that happened. So I'm
Like, you
like,
had me angry these last couple of episodes. You was mad at the wife. You're like walking out the house. I'm like, what's going on with him? Like, what is he mad about? Like, I'm all over
uh,
the place in that series
I
right
don't
now.
I don't I don't understand why Nancy didn't have you angry. I'm
No,
confused.
Nancy didn't have. She was going through something. Like, I'm sympathizing to the woman. I was like, you shugging people. I'm like, what's going on? Why is he
Yeah,
mad at the table?
yeah. Do you remember how genuine and gentlemanly like and integral Richard was at the beginning?
You were so loving.
And do you know why that went the other way? And that's the
Why?
side you're taking? Okay.
I'm t-
All right.
because
Okay.
because
Yeah.
he was in the hospital.
I'm
I'm
just
like,
trying to put that in perspective
going
for
through
you. I just
something
want
and
to
you're
I,
like being mean. I'm like, why is it
I just want to
so
give you
loud?
I just want to give you something to sit with as you pick something.
I'm gonna go back and rewatch
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, I go back and forth with them all. I just go this to this, and I say, you know
yeah.
what? I got to get out my feelings about these people on this show.
I'm just saying, Richard was derailed by a woman.
Mhm. But I do love it. I love the character. I think you portray him very well. I think
Thank-
you portray him very
thank-
well, and it keeps people on the edge. It does. The
Absolutely,
whole show
absolutely,
does, and hopefully
absolutely.
we'll get that out of Once in a Valentine. Will be the same thing that Ed's jaw breaking moment where we'll go, wow, this was good,
Yeah.
that part. But thank you once again for coming on In the House Media House Calls. We really appreciated having you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had a great time.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And we're going to bring this to an end. Thank you once again to all the viewers for watching us tonight on In the House Calls. I'm Michelle Francis, also known as Shelly. Y'all have a good night.